my god, like, I keep seeing people advertising their art and trying to promote their commissions and gain more followers. And frankly, how dare they? How dare they try to follow their passion and make a living off their art? They should be ashamed. Okay, obviously I'm joking. But yeah, that is kind of what this video is going to be about today. I want to talk a bit about I guess you'd call it a bit of a stigma around artists and self-promotion. And some of this comes from other people seeming to take offence at artists promoting their work, and I think it comes from artists themselves. We all seem to feel guilt for promoting our work, and that really shouldn't be the case. So I want to talk about that, and I want to talk a little bit about ways that I think are good methods for self-promotion when it comes to art, and a few ways I've seen people try and advertise their work that I think really aren't that acceptable and that I would suggest not doing if you're trying to build a bit of a following. So yes, that is today's video topic while I do a little speed paint, artists and self-promotion. So thankfully these days I don't see too much of other people sort of getting on artists' cases about self-promotion. But I do get the impression there is still a bit of that mindset where people get kind of annoyed if they see people advertising their own work, and like, it's not like people are making massive call out posts or anything, you know, hating on artists for doing this, but you just get the occasional comment, or I don't know, people with a bit of an attitude about it. Particularly as someone who does art for a living, I know how important self-promotion is, and like, life and art is hard enough without having to feel guilty for trying to gain more attention or get more people to buy your commissions. The saying goes, money makes the world go round. Well, I think it's probably fair to say that advertising makes money go round. Like, even, you know, multinational billion-dollar companies have to advertise their products and services. And at the end of the day, art is a service or a product, so it too needs to be advertised. But there is still this kind of attitude, stigma, whatever you want to call it, around like freelance artists advertising and wanting attention. And I think this comes from the wider problem of certain people, thankfully less these days, but there is still like a large number of people who seem to think art should be free. And generally the same sorts of people seem to have a negative view of anyone who's trying to gain attention for their artwork. And though I think generally these days that sort of mindset is in the minority, the fact that there are people out there who do feel that way, I think lead an artist to feel kind of guilty or ashamed when they try and promote their artwork. I mean, hands up if you've ever posted something along the lines of, oh, I'm sorry guys for like bumping my commissions so much, I'm just, you know, trying to make a living and trying to sell stuff. Like, I'll have my hand up because I've absolutely done that in the past. Not now, because I've kind of stopped worrying about what other people think, but yeah, I used to always feel so bad every time I posted anything advertising my work or commissions or like bumped an adoptable post. And there's really no need to feel like that. So like, if you've ever posted that kind of thing or ever felt guilty or ashamed about what should genuinely be shameless self-promotion, don't. You have every right to promote your work. Like, art is a skill. Doing artwork is a skill. And the finished product is something only you can create. Like, no matter, similarities between people's art styles, it is your work that nobody else can do. It's unique, and art is a luxury item. It should be worth a lot, and it should absolutely be okay to advertise it. I don't really know where this idea of art being free comes from. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, the art industry is massive. But I mean, look at art dealership as an industry, and, galleries and stuff. They're worth a lot of money. The pieces in those galleries are worth a lot of money. And just because you're some kid from, whichever town or whatever doing artwork on your computer doesn't make it worth any less than the pieces in those galleries. Your time and your skill is worth money, and you don't ever let anyone make you feel bad about advertising and promoting and trying to get attention for something that is an amazing skill that you have. I do, of course, appreciate that for some people, they don't like seeing artists self-promote a lot, purely because it can get a bit annoying. Like, I do get that. There are plenty of, TV advertisements I could live quite happily without ever seeing again. It's annoying, but it is also just the way the world works. If you're someone who is looking to make artwork your career, or you just want to build more of a following and sell a little bit more on the side of whatever else you're doing, you are going to have to self-advertise. There are, the odd person who just randomly, their followers blow up overnight. You can't rely on that. And you can't really rely on other people sharing or retweeting your work either. You do have to do it yourself. You have to be your own advertiser. And to some extent, you kind of got to just throw away the guilt. Don't feel ashamed of advertising. Don't worry about whether it's annoying people. They can always just, scroll past your advertisement. It doesn't take more than a second to do that. So you just got to do it. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Okay, so that turned a little bit more ranty than I was intending it to. So I'm going to move on to some ways of promoting your work. They're not necessarily specific to, like, getting more commission sales. They might be more toward gaining more followers, but generally speaking, the more followers you have, the more likely you are to sell a commission, obviously. I've tried to keep these applicable sort of across most social media platforms. The first thing I would say is kind of a smaller thing that you can do is put in descriptions of art posts and things, little reminders. For example, if your commissions are open, or if you have something like a base for sale or something, leave links or just reminders in the description of other posts, as well as little reminders to, like, favourite and comment and let people know that you appreciate those things. Like, you might not get loads more interaction from that or loads more sales from these reminders, but even if you get, like, one extra person, that's a bonus as far as I'm concerned. Like, you don't lose anything by adding these things in the description. The second thing would be to bump your posts. Now, this is one that I know people do get annoyed by. So, don't do it loads to an annoying amount, but certainly it is something you should do every so often, because with the way algorithms are on sites, there's a good chance that someone hasn't seen your original post, or you've got a new follower and they won't have seen it because it's an old post. And so by bumping sales posts or adoptables, whatever, it's a good way of ensuring more people have actually seen it to begin with, so you've got a better chance of actually attracting more sales. Thirdly, this might seem an obvious one, but use tags. I say it seems obvious, but I do see a lot of people who don't use that many tags when they post. Personally, I try and use a lot. Like, I think Instagram has a maximum of 30 tags, and more often than not, I will use 30 tags. Because obviously it increases the chances of your artwork showing up when people are searching for things. So yes, use a lot of tags, but make sure they're relevant to the piece. Don't just throw in random words, or I think you run the risk of being shadow banned. and vary them. Don't use the exact same tags every time you post, even if you're posting really similar like subject matter. Try and use little variations in the keywords. Similarly, if you're on a site that uses groups, for example DeviantArt, submit to groups. Like, I used to post to about 100 groups. I'm not kidding, I would submit my artwork to like 100 groups back in the day when DeviantArt was my main site. It definitely helped gain more interaction and more sales and everything else. Like, I know it's tedious, it takes time to submit to groups, but absolutely you should do it, especially if you don't have a huge following at the moment anyway. It's a good way of attracting new people. The next point is another one, like bumping posts, where I've seen people be annoyed by it, and that's holding raffles or contests. Like, I see a lot of people complain whenever someone holds a raffle that, oh, you're just doing it for attention. Well, yeah, like, that is the point. Raffles are a great way of gaining more followers, and obviously they're nice in that they do offer everyone a fair chance to win some free artwork from you. But do be careful with the value of your prize when holding a raffle. Don't offer something that's going to take you loads and loads of time to do as you're doing it for free. And don't hold raffles too often, because obviously people are going to be less inclined to buy your artwork if there's a chance they could win some for free. The next point I feel is another obvious one, but is again somewhat overlooked, and that's interacting with other people's work. Like, you should comment on other people's work as much as you can. Not only because it's nice to help out another artist by commenting on their work, but it does create more exposure for you, because obviously people are going to see your username or your icon come up in the comment section of other people's work, and they might click on your profile. Like, that sounds a bit off, like you're using other people to get more followers, but I guess that is what it is. But I mean, nobody loses out by you commenting on somebody else's work. They're gaining interaction from you, and you might gain interaction from other people or from the artist themselves. They might reciprocate and comment on your work. Don't expect that, but they might. Finally, try to post regularly. Obviously, you're not going to be able to post like a finished piece every day. I think a post every couple of days is a good idea. That's what I try to keep to. Sometimes that might just literally be sketches or works in progress. In fact, Instagram seems to quite like works in progress and stuff like that. Which I guess is another thing. It does help to know the algorithm of the site you're posting to. Try and keep up to date with what the algorithm likes, and kind of have an idea of what the site wants of you in order to gain much interaction. I also want to quickly talk about ways you shouldn't try and self-promote. The first one being, don't do follow for follow. You know, when you see people on their profile, whatever, it's follow for follow. That's not a good way of attracting followers who are actually interested in your work. I realise you do get a bit with raffles where people will follow you just for free stuff and then unfollow you. But if you're doing follow for follow, you're going to get that even more. Like, it's not a good... I've never seen anyone get very far by doing that. The next point is something I really hate when I see people doing it, and it's happened quite a lot to me, certainly on Instagram, where people comment on your work advertising themselves. Do not do that. That's really just rude, frankly. You wouldn't get, like, in Sainsbury's, somebody from Tesco's coming in and be like, oh, come to Tesco's, we have 2 for 1 on apples or something. Would you... Like, Tesco's and Sainsbury's are supermarkets, by the way, for non-British people. You wouldn't get that. You don't get that in, like, actual advertising, so don't do it to other artists. It's just really bad form. Similarly, don't DM people asking them to follow you, because it puts them in a bit of an awkward position, because your work might not necessarily be to their tastes, or even if they do like your work, it's probably not going to endear you to somebody if you DM'd them saying, follow me, because it's quite an aggressive way of trying to get new followers. That said, some artists do make specific posts where you can comment your own work and, like, advertise yourself on their posts. Obviously, if someone's got a post like that up, yes, do comment on that post and advertise yourself there, because it's a specific space for you to do that. My second to last point is a fairly important one, because I still see this happen quite a lot, That's don't beg. And by that I don't mean if you need help and you're asking for people to donate for a vet bill or whatever, like something like that, that's fine. What I mean is, if your commissions aren't selling, don't then make a post that sounds quite angry at your followers for not buying stuff from you, because they don't really owe you anything. By following someone, you're not obligated to buy stuff from them. And I know it is really depressing when stuff doesn't sell. It is horrible, but it's not a good way of encouraging people to buy things from you if you're then like shouting at them about the fact they're not buying from you. It's unprofessional, if nothing else. If stuff really isn't selling, maybe lower your prices for a little bit to just get people interested, or do an offer like 2 for 1, or post somewhere else. Try other things, but don't moan at people for not buying from you. My final point isn't so much about self-promotion, it's more just how you're sort of presenting yourself generally online. And that's, don't constantly be self-deprecating. Don't always be putting your own work down, whether that be comparing yourself to other artists or just, what you put in your description. You have to at least fake confidence, even if you are very insecure about your work. In order for other people to believe in your art, you do have to at least act like you believe in it yourself. And with that, I'm going to leave it there, because this is already a way longer video than I intended it to be. As always, comments, likes, dislikes, all that kind of stuff's super appreciated. Feel free to comment questions or suggestions for other video topics and things like that. And I hope you're staying safe and are well, and have a great day. Good luck with your art and advertising and everything else in your life. Thanks for watching. Bye!